you want left populism, it will only exist outside of the Democratic Party, period.
Colin, do me a favor and pull up that clip of the Democratic fighters from earlier. Please pull that up one more time.
Oh, no, I can't again. Why?
I have to for a second.
Oh, my God. Who are we having to hone in on? Not Alex.
Oh, absolutely.
Toe box queen. Let's read what they say. Freeze it.
AOC, New York's 14th congressional district, youngest woman and Latina to be elected to the House. She's a Trekkie, Jen. Did you know that?
No.
I wonder if she likes Kirk or Picard. Who do you think she prefers? No, maybe she's a Spock person. Although I could be wrong.
Honestly, the fact that I'm just, this whole thing is just so bothersome to me.
This is your king, or queen, as the saying goes. This is what we've reduced ourselves to.
It's so pathetic because what this really shows, and really we've been saying this the whole time, like for I don't know how long. The Democrats truly believe that their problem is marketing, reach, branding, messaging. They truly believe that's their problem. That they're just not putting out the right messaging. They got to reach the young people. We got to get in there with the young people. So this is the most pathetic attempt. This is up there with like that Gavin Newsom having his new podcast. We're going to just be cash and we're going to talk. Like they are so pathetic. Or that bit that was released that said they need to get to gun shows. They are out of ideas because they don't want to deal with policy. So now all they can do is try to rebrand and remarket their same shit. Newsflash, Alex, you cannot put enough lipstick on that pig.
You know, if Alex was smart, she would actually jump into the New York City's mayor's race right now.
I don't think so at all. But
if I think she could actually win it. Like the New York,
that's horrifying, and you would end up with like a Karen Bass situation in New York. Good luck with that.
That is the problem with giving any modicum of power to somebody like Alex. If she wants to completely blow her political career, turn her into the mayor of New York City. Watch how fast her whole career.
I don't think she'd survive that campaign, and for a lot of reasons. First of all. And again, I've said this and I'm not saying it meanly. I don't think she's that bright. So when you take that into account, and I don't know what her executive experience is, but being a legislator, being in the legislative branch does not equate to being an executive. They're completely different. I know we don't teach that as well as we should, but they're very different functions. So even if somebody is a stellar, amazing legislator representative, that doesn't necessarily mean that they would be great as a chief executive. Okay. This is someone who is a completely ineffective legislator. And so why in the world would that translate to being an effective executive? Like, where do you see 1 + 1 = 2 there? I don't see it at all. Now, the fact that she might do it or someone would convince her to do it because the WCCC can make a fortune on that campaign and it would be like a spectacle of spectacles. I would be hopeful for the people of New York that she would lose if she were not the best executive potential candidate. And I find it hard to believe that she would be. And to me, Karen Bass, case in point, you might be a decent legislator. That doesn't mean you know how to be a chief executive.
David, you're going to have to provide some clarity or clarification on that, because if she really did say that, then that's obviously it's not.
I would have thought we would have heard that. I would think we would have heard that, but it wouldn't surprise me if she put that out somewhere.
No, and of course, right now it's like the safest time to say it.
I don't think she would be able to. I don't think she would be able to withstand an actual real campaign. Let's be real.
Sure.
Let's go back to look at how Alex won in 2018. You and I know what goes into that and what she did and what she was up against. She was up against somebody who just basically took it for granted, didn't show up. She didn't really have to. I mean, she knocked doors. She did a lot of canvassing.
She had the wind at her back. They put all of her resources into her campaign.
Exactly. She had
100%.
all these things in her favor. And so it wasn't really like she wasn't having to be called out on stuff. She wasn't getting crap from the opposition. She wasn't getting crap. Like, it was a completely different vibe. Her winning. can you picture her running against Cuomo, what that would look like? She's not ready to play with those boys.
Here's what I would say. And this is one of the great sins of some of why the left ultimately fails at politics. And I'm not trying to put you on a pedestal, but your race against Wasserman Schultz, especially in 20, was an example of the type of race where it was potentially gettable if you had the right amount of capital behind you. And because of that, because there are so many people that run for office that have no business doing it, that tie up all of these resources, which are very limited to begin with. And then you have these organizations that are always trying to expand because they're always looking at the bottom line. That is why you fail. You got Alex in, then you got Corey and Jamal in. And then you should have had enough sense to say, now we're going to get 2 more people in there. Now we're going to get 25 more people in there. We're going to put $1.5 million, $2 million behind 2 different candidates. That's what
I mean, look, we know, like, looking back, brand new Congress, I think, realized too, and Zayn has even said it, they definitely spread themselves too thin, and that's not the way to go. You're better off obviously focusing on some really winnable seats. But again, that's not something that's going to work really within this party. It's just not going to work within this party. I mean, I just don't see it. And, if Alex were really to get into that race, I think it wouldn't end well for her. I think that is a fight that is uglier than anything she probably has ever seen in her little political life. And I that's not a race for the faint at heart.
But the only reason I bring that race up and the only reason why it could potentially make sense is because for every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there that really wants to see her run for president in the near future, let me assure you, no congressperson in the modern history of America has ever come close to sniffing the presidency.
Exactly.
Winning it. It Never. Is overwhelmingly governors.
Yeah.
It is sometimes senators. And then in very rare instances, you have the true independent who may go from one team to the other.
Well, you've got Trump, who is
a true independent who's in the Republican Party. You had General Eisenhower, who was a true independent who was recruited by both parties, keep in mind, to be the presidential nominee. Both the Democrats and the Republicans wanted him.
Why don't people understand how this works? Like, you don't just go from being a representative to being president. Like, the hubris is what really, and again, I don't know that Alex has this ambition at all. We've heard everybody else and their mother speculate about it, but I haven't heard her herself say anything. So I can't comment on her level of delusion. I don't know.
I understand that, but I'm saying that if she has any intention of running for president, the only shot she would have to have the type of gravitas where she could actually justify a run at the presidency, win the New York mayoral race first.
And that's not going to, and that can't happen.
I doubt that's going to happen.
I don't think she could. I don't think she could win a Senate seat because I don't think she could win a statewide race in New York. So you're, again, to go from a congressional seat to executive seat is ridiculous in and of itself. Okay. Well, whether at that level, but then to put it at a national, when you can't even win a state seat, like, this is so cart before the horse.
Well, here's the thing. Do I think that she could raise $3 million if she ran for mayor? Yeah, I think she could.
Oh, and the WCCC will be all the thankful for it.
I don't know. I don't know about that, but here's what I will say. She has an opportunity for a couple of reasons. The first one is the fact that you have a completely and utterly disgraced incumbent mayor who is not dropping out. He is going to continue to run. You have a former disgraced, corrupt governor who's now running for mayor. And you don't have any true progressive with any real gravitas that is running. If she got in that race and both Cuomo and Adams are in that race, she'd have a shot.
And I think that when it got really tough, I don't think she understands.
But here's the thing.
Mayor is just,
Jen, here's the thing. On top of everything else, she's not a risk taker. She's not willing. Everyone thinks that she's willing to take a risk.
How?
I've said before, the reason why she would run for president is because she doesn't have to give up her congressional seat. Now, I don't know if she has to give up her congressional seat to run for mayor, but I think she does. So she's not going to do that.
Then she would never do that. But again, even if she didn't, it's just silly to me. It's silly to me. And I just think like that, the mayoral race in some regards to me, especially in places like New York, they don't play nice.
Oh,
like
God.
you're into like some Hoffa-esque kind of shit in that world. And I just don't think that that's something she's game for. And I also, again, have never seen anything that indicates that she's qualified to be the chief executive of New York, let alone, the United States. Like,
Sure.
I don't see where that comes from.
Well, as we've often
That's
said.
like, like some of people we know's level of delusion in terms of what they think they're capable of.
Sure. But then again, that's why politics is becoming kind of a secondary component to what we're talking about. Politics is a tool. It can be used effectively. By the way, and I will, I'm not going to talk about it now. I'll talk about it off the air. But the thing is, we look around for leaders, not just because people need upper management, but because most people feel like nomads right now. And they're not going to gravitate to somebody like Trump as a leader. But at the same time, people feel lost. And it's understandable why they feel lost. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of hope before we go.
You have hope?
Colin, pull up the Trump tweet, please.
We have hope?
Yeah, slight, not much, but enough to suggest that if you just look around at what other people are doing, you'll understand why. And the Donald is here to explain. After speaking with President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico, I have agreed that Mexico will not be required to pay tariffs on anything that falls under the USMCA agreement. This agreement is until April 2nd. I did this as an accommodation and out of respect for President Sheinbaum. Our relationship has been a very good one, and we are working hard together on the border, both in terms of stopping illegal aliens from entering the United States.
I hate that phrase.
Excuse me, I'm talking. And likewise,
like that to me.
Excuse me, and likewise, stopping fentanyl. Thank you, President Sheinbaum, for your hard work and cooperation.
Jen stands correct. What did I tell you? I told you about how he was going to deal with her.
She's a badass. And
he is so out of his element in dealing with her. And the thing is, he has no win because, first of all, she's incredibly bright and very well spoken and knows how to communicate. I was watching her. She really explains things to her people. She was explaining them. She had chart, like she herself was actually with charts explaining stuff to her people. He's never going to go at her in a bad way. He won't do it. First of all, he probably likes her. He probably likes her.
Listen, she's pretty. She's intelligent. He's totally
not going to mess with her. There's no way he's going to mess with her.